Hello, welcome to our channel.
Hello.
Today's topic is imposter syndrome.
In other words, feeling like you're not good enough.
Yes. For example, if thoughts like, I'm never enough, or people are overestimating me, keep running through your mind, you're not alone. Burp.
Yes?
I have 3 questions for you. I'll start with the first question. Why does a person downplay their own achievements? What could be at the root of this way of thinking?
Yes, that's a good question. We're off to a good start. Now, it's actually very contradictory, isn't it? Normally, when we feel successful, we should be happy, but instead, we tend to belittle ourselves or feel like we're not enough. Now, imposter syndrome in general is when a person feels they are not good enough. Of course, the frequency and intensity of this always varies from person to person. That's generally the case with all syndromes, that is, with psychological disorders. There's no rule that every criterion will appear in you. But as you know, we make these videos to raise awareness. We want to establish this kind of connection with our viewers. Now, why does a person feel they are not good enough? The root of this syndrome actually goes back to childhood. I can mention 3 main factors. The first is conditional love. The second is comparison. And the third is growing up in an overly protective and sheltering family. What kind of effects do these have? Now, in childhood during those years, I'll explain without going into too many technical details. Simply put, because we take our family as role models. Regardless of being a boy or a girl, we want to feel like we belong to that group. Because when we feel like we belong to the group and take them as role models, when we resemble them, and when we comply with their expectations of us, we feel accepted and approved. In fact, these kinds of behaviors in us gradually develop over time according to the attitudes of our parents or the people in our families. So, how does this happen? A child who is taught conditional love like, I will love you if you do this, or mothers don't love naughty children, may grow up to develop imposter syndrome as an adult. How does this get carried into our future? For example, I may be successful now, but what if I become naughty or fail? Deep down, there is always a need for approval. Or we make this concrete through the need to be loved. Look at how well behaved someone else's child is, for example. Or look, their children are so successful, but you, for instance, can't get good grades, and so on. Now, I'd like to address parents here for a moment. If you often approach your children in this way, you end up teaching them conditional love, and as adults, our need for approval continues. In healthy individuals, our internal motivation or sources of self-approval should actually be stronger. In a healthy way, you see yourself as successful, okay. If you are in harmony with yourself, if you are truly yourself and have achieved this success in your own way, you should feel an inner sense of satisfaction from it. But what happens in imposter syndrome is, I am successful at this. But the anxiety comes along with it. What if one day I fail and become unloved? What if I lose the people around me who love me because I am successful?
Do they think they don't deserve that position?
They don't think they don't deserve it. They experience the anxiety that they have to hold on to it. For example, there was a chess tournament. They participated as an expert in their city and came in first. The appreciation and approval they receive from their circle, that is followed by the thought, but what if I lose this? What if one day I can't be successful? That thought comes right after. Now, here's what unhealthy anxiety actually is, okay? If we develop anxiety over possible scenarios and start to believe that these are real, that's what makes us unhappy. And that's the situation that arises. This is the unhealthy situation. Or in this case, the person thinks something like this. I will never be able to succeed in these tournaments forever. One day I will fail. And because of that, the people who approve of or love me will leave my life. And so this is the kind of anxiety that develops.
Based on this information,
Yes.
why does someone with this syndrome have difficulty believing the praise they receive from others? For example, in the first question, you mentioned comparison, someone who's compared for their beauty. Even though they receive a lot of compliments about their beauty afterwards, they may still have trouble truly believing it inside.
Yes.
Why does this happen? Is it for the same reasons?
Similar reasons. Let me explain that specifically as well. People who pay a great deal of attention to their beauty and often receive praise and compliments for it if they grew up constantly being compared to others, were accustomed to receiving conditional love, or were raised in an overly protected and sheltered environment. When they receive approval and admiration for their beauty, they may immediately start to fear, what if I lose my beauty one day? What will happen then? Now, here's what we can say about this. If you see yourself in this type of person, please reflect on it as you watch our videos. We need internal sources of motivation, Moreto, feel satisfied. Do we rely on our achievements or standout qualities, or is it because of external sources of motivation that we feel this way? Take a look at this. The greater the intensity of these external sources of motivation, the lower the satisfaction we feel with ourselves. For example, we often see this in terms of gender roles in society. Recent studies also show this. Unfortunately, we especially see this in women. No matter how successful they are, they still can't truly be themselves in the face of this. For example, let's say someone has made being successful a source of external motivation, their central focus. But in order to compete in an environment where this is valued, they end up losing their sense of self. For instance, they might feel compelled to display more masculine behaviors, or issues arise about not being woman enough. Because success is at the center here as well. Yes, not being able to be oneself is disturbing. But it's more than that. In other words, because they are focused on success, the person has turned to an external source of motivation. And here again, why do they experience anxiety about losing their success? Because they can't really act like themselves. And how sustainable is that for them? In fact, that's one of the things that brings about this anxiety. In general, since I also do this professionally, to sum up, this is what we recommend. Or we discovered the way to do this. Build your life as yourself, be successful, fail, but be yourself, stay in the flow, and so on. How can we manage it? First of all, of course, by watching our videos, liking them, and giving them a thumbs up. If we become aware of ourselves, we also become that much more aware of what and how we need to change. Of course, just reading books or watching videos alone may not be effective. In that case, we shouldn't hesitate to seek therapy in order to be ourselves. If, in order to be ourselves, we need to break down the images we've previously created in the eyes of society, and for people with imposter syndrome, this is often the case. Even if this coincides with a fear of isolation, they need to confront it and experience that it doesn't have to be that way. That's when true self-confidence will emerge. I was just in a session a moment ago. By the way, the client had anxious attachment. Actually, these are parallel processes. In the work we've done together to help her be herself, today for the first time she felt confident, felt she could be herself, and truly felt safe. And she was so calm and at peace. I hope you get to experience this one day as well.
Thank you for this information.
I hope it was informative again.
I think it was. I hope the viewers think so too. If you really like my video, please don't forget to like it and to subscribe to the channel to support the channel.
Please leave a comment as well. It's really wonderful for us to stay in touch with you. Guide us. See you in the next video.